Matt Diavella actually asked a question. He said, once I beat the shit out of you in the boxing ring and you can't make videos anymore, what are you going to do as an alternate career?
Oh my, did you actually prepare that question beforehand? That's so violent. Are you for real?
That might have been a little bit ad-libbed.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Matt Diavella saying that is just unthinkable. That is crazy,
okay.
Dude.
I was surprised too.
Disclaimer, Matt Diavella didn't say that. I made it up. Matt Diavella would never beat the shit out of anyone.
Disturbing the peace with some peace of mind. Sleeping in jeans, I'ma need a night. OD on the cheap advice. OC on the cheapest flight. Lately I've been on the move trying to get to something. But I told her I've been running just to see the sights.
Welcome back to Friends with Benedicts. Breakfast around the world. It's a pretty big day around here.
It's like the grand ball, the jubilee. Because we have our very first ever guest on Friends with Benedicts. And not only that, he's a friend from around the world.
Whoa, I didn't even think about that.
It's true. He's from...
This is our first pan-global podcast ever.
Yeah, so you guys probably know him. He's in the same sphere as Jake and I. When I was learning arithmetic in my first year of college, he was speaking 5 languages. And we're lucky to have him on. I don't really know how this joke of a life transpired into us being able to interview this guy on our podcast.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
Your life is probably at least 4 times better because of this guy. Welcome to the podcast, Nathaniel Drew.
Oh, man. Well, let me just say, if I may just do a little introduction here.
Absolutely.
Please.
It is an absolute joy it's an honor to be the first guest on this podcast, and I'm a big fan. And you guys are hilarious because I have a feeling this is just going to be one big love fest,
Probably. We're going to have to try not to let it be that.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have to control ourselves. 3 hipsters just loving each other. But yeah, like I get so much out of what you guys make, so the appreciation.
Oh,
Thanks,
you.
man.
Extremely mutual.
Well, yeah, it's pretty cool. We've all actually hung out in person at least once, not all at the same time, but we go back. Both Jake and I visited Nathan in 2022, and it bloomed a friendship, a 3-way friendship that has lasted to this day. So
Yeah.
we're very excited.
What would we get up to if all 3 of us were hanging out together?
Man.
I have no idea.
It's going to happen someday. It's kind of crazy that it hasn't happened yet, but it's bound to happen sometime.
It's true.
Guys, if we were all together, we're well on our way to having an entire film crew if we just hung out.
Whoa.
That's a crazy thing
Dude,
to
that
think
could
about.
achieve the dreams that we've been having this whole time. We talk so much about how we're not real filmmakers because we don't have a crew, but all we have to do is all hang out together and we can call ourselves filmmakers because we have a crew.
So that's how it works. We cracked the code.
Yeah. We got tons of questions for you. We got a lot of hanging to do and stuff. But first, I'm so sorry to do this. I just really don't want to disappoint the people because we're actually mostly a space news podcast. So I don't want to go back on what the people are actually here for. They're definitely not here for Nathaniel Drew or anything. They're here for space news.
Definitely. Yeah. And so am I. Unfortunately, I don't know anything about space, so I can't contribute, but I enjoy the space stories that you guys share.
Well,
That's okay. You can be a third-party participant. You can react basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah. Are you at least familiar with Japan's recent moon landing?
Yeah, actually.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Bizarrely.
they landed on the moon.
So India pulled it off recently.
Yeah.
And Japan's number 5, I think.
Number 5.
to
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah, but turns out they had it all the way until the final minute and an engine failed and they landed upside down. But we talked about that last week on the pod. This week, merely a couple days after we recorded, we have an update. This moon lander from Japan was on the moon. It was upside down. They were worried that it wasn't going to flip over because the solar panels were covered. But they shut it down. They gave it a few days. It got enough sun to recharge the battery. and now it's flipped itself back over, and the mission is continuing. So just a good news story for Japan on the moon, and yeah.
Great. Nice.
I just wanted to make sure to update the people with that. The other update is that I talked a while back about Jupiter's ocean moon. They've found an entire frozen ocean moon with Jupiter. It's all made of ice, and they've announced that October of this year, we're sending a satellite out there, and it's going to land in the year 2030, and it's going to drill through the ice and be able to inspect the ocean of Jupiter's.
Damn.
And it's going to bring back moon juice.
Yeah, and it's going to explore like ocean spray pillars on the moon as well.
All right.
So
Can I actually ask you guys, like,
ask the experts. Yeah, go for it.
Obviously it's a hilarious segment of the podcast, but there's got to be a genuine fascination for space stuff, given that you've dedicated a segment to this. I guess I'm sort of curious, like, I guess you look out into the universe, right, and you wonder what's out there, so there's an element of that. But I've always been curious about how this captures somebody's imagination. Like, I don't know what the likelihood is of me ever going to space in our lifetimes. I mean, it's increasing in likelihood. So, but
is it?
Like,
oh,
there's,
just like
there's so much technological advancement. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's not impossible.
Did you ever?
But I guess I'm wondering if there's something in particular that's made you actually really fascinated about space, and that's why you're following the news.
Good question.
That is a good question. I mean, you can go first, Shave. Because I feel like I strong-armed us into having space news.
Did you? I mean, I just
definitely did.
You know what? You know what it is? Look, Nathaniel Drew. You know what it is? It's that we are a podcast dedicated to wonder. That's what it's all about. You could say we're a filmmaking podcast. You could say we're a space podcast. But we're a wonder podcast, which is why we don't Google answers to anything. I don't watch the movies we review. It's just all about the things beyond. And that's like the quintessential great beyond that leads us down into the micro great beyonds within our own lives.
I'm so glad you established that right now. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So
did you?
I like it. This is like
were you not were you not a big like I want to be an astronaut when I grow up kind of kid?
I wasn't actually at all. Like that's kind of why I asked the question, because it's such such a thing that seems to capture a lot of people's imagination, and like I think it's interesting too, but like I don't know, for whatever reason the idea of being an astronaut or leaving Earth has never appealed to me at all.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. He prefers to explore the caverns of his own mind.
Yeah. The mind is even more vast than outer space itself.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a universe inside of me. So.
Whoa.
Wow. That's beautiful. I knew we'd get some heaters like that.
I'm struggling with the tone with you guys, because it's like such a blend between sincere, honest awe about the world and also like jokey, don't take anything serious.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, it's funny you say that, because I feel like that's one of the things Shaffer has been best for me at, because I skew towards like taking everything very, very seriously, and then Shaffer's the type of friend who will he'll just make fun of me for it, and it's like a good thing, you know, where it's like, to me it almost helps drive the point home if I can like say something profound and then have him make fun of me for it, but then I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Does that make sense? It like almost helps to make it lighthearted and easier to talk about the profound stuff.
I think I'm probably just traumatized and it's a coping mechanism, but I like the way you said it.
I'm just fascinated about this dynamic, because it's like, at the end of the day, both of you guys are actually like really sincere with your videos. And like, I know Shaffer can be more, like, I don't know if it's sarcastic or like in French you say deuxième degré, it's like second degree. So
People are always saying that about me.
But and it's funny because like Americans are not known for this kind of humor, I feel like. But it's I guess I don't know. I guess I'm just reflecting on how tone is such a delicate thing, and it's sometimes I wonder if I should be more jokey, like, and that would help make kind of the deeper stuff that I really care about land. But I've never been like really good at it. I'm situationally funny. Like I can make fun of something that's happening, but like I've never found it to be easy at all to generate kind of like a self-deprecating kind of jokey
dude
vibe,
same. I'm so with you on that, and I don't know that everyone needs to, like for me, I just think if I tried to do it the way Shaffer does it, it would just, I don't know, for me it would feel awkward and would feel unnatural for me. But I don't know, I think there's so much to it that's just personal style.
No, yeah, I think there's as much variety in tone as there are variety in people, and I don't think I always was that way, but one of my favorite artists mentioned how, like, in the progression of how they were evolving their artwork, he was like, I'm really taking comic relief seriously because it's such a power. Like, when you experience a good, well-executed example of comic relief, it feels so, like, it feels so good. But if there's too much, it's a hard balance, though, because if there's too much, then, like you're saying, like, you can talk about serious stuff, but then people are like, this is kind of a serious topic that you're just making fun of. So, I don't know. It's a delicate thing, but I think I was telling Jake, I think that humor is as much a currency now as anything. It's like on the internet, humor is like mega valuable. So I'm trying to incorporate, but it's hard because when a joke doesn't land, it sucks.
Totally. I mean, I think what's interesting is I remember different attempts that I've had at being really funny and it doesn't land and it kind of backfires. I remember one time I did a video about eating for $1 a day when I was living in Mexico. And I took massive liberties with the subtitling. So anytime anybody would speak in Spanish, I'd put subtitles that were definitely not what they were saying. And people got pissed off at me because they're like, that's not a translation. And I'm like, duh. I mean, they're tonally it was way off. And I thought that was hilarious. But it didn't land. And I just feel like maybe I didn't watch enough Family Guy or The Simpsons or whatever to like get the right timing or the right angle or whatever.
Oh, interesting.
It's a high risk, high reward thing to do.
Yeah, totally.
Like in
but
any
I do agree that I
situation
think like in filmmaking, like what do they say? Make them laugh first and then you can make them cry, right? Like it opens you up emotionally.
Yeah, dude, that's beautiful.
But I think it just parallels life perfectly because like humor in filmmaking is just like humor in life. When you say a joke, especially an edgy joke, and someone like doesn't play along, you're like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
I think that's like, as far as the tone of this podcast, like, I don't know, I think it's a fun joke to talk about space news because we're not qualified to, but there is for sure just an element of fascination. Like I'm probably the opposite of you where just like, well, pretty routinely just think about it and just sit in wonder of outer space. But yeah, at the same time, it's a fun joke to just kind of say like, we're sending a thing to the ocean moon of Jupiter and it's going to dig in the ice and that's all I know about it. And that's crazy.
What's funny is this is exactly how I would hope a Nathaniel Drew episode would go is we do some stupid bullshit and he's like, but why?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Bro, I can't help it. I mean, this is why a lot of people either like me or just hate my guts. Cause like so many people, I mean, I'm a tryhard, like with whatever I do, I go all out with it. And I think people sometimes are like, what's your deal? It's not that important. It's not that big of a deal,
Yeah. I wouldn't even call that a tryhard because to me, a tryhard gives the connotation that it's inauthentic. To me, a tryhard is like just doing it for the attention of the thing, whereas you so clearly are just like fascinated in it regardless of the other attention towards it. You know what I mean? I would call it more of just I don't know, just like a deep personal interest in introspection and how the world works.
Okay, hold on. Love fest. We got to control ourselves.
We got to cut that off.
No, but I mean, I appreciate that. I guess for me, try hard is like, my definition of that is like someone who's doing a task or approaching a topic and they're putting way more effort and energy into it than is necessary, which is, I think can be beautiful, but I think it can also be like weirdly triggering or exasperating for people, you know? Honestly, in my opinion, both of your approaches to filmmaking, you're like try hard filmmakers, which I say not in like a negative way. I'm saying like you guys are not okay with just doing a good job. You are always like, can I make this 3% more beautiful? And if that takes me 300% more time, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah. Couple of try-hards over here.
Yeah.
So, but I think what
that was
results
a
in
nice
that-
way to take a back door into the love fest.
Yeah. Totally. That's good. That actually sets us up pretty well for some segments. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. I guess just as a final thought on that, like I think what's interesting about that is a consequence of trying hard with something is that you care a lot about it, you know? And I think what comes with caring a lot about something is a lot of opinions, you know, like this is how things should be done, or this is how I wish things were done, you know? And then when you have an opinion, it can be more polarizing because then you're actually saying something versus not saying anything, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if that makes sense, but like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I've noticed in my own little world lately, it's like as soon as you ask a question or say, like you're saying, like say anything, all of a sudden it's like, as far as a YouTube context is concerned, it's like engagement jumps so much because people either like whatever agree or disagree. But if they disagree, people are so quick to just be like, you know, like you suck. That's the wrong answer. And then the craziest part is if you even just ask a question and that people haven't asked, they're like mad that you ask the question. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a random thought, but
I do think Shaffer, like, I don't know, as a channel member of yours, I know some of the stuff happening, and I think you got to lean into it, man. I think being opinionated is amazing.
Oh,
like,
I'm leaning
both
into
of you
it more this
guys,
year. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
I like starting a discussion about things, and it's refreshing and terrifying all at the same time because it's pretty easy, right, to just upload something that's like, I don't know, just like pretty universally digestible.
Yeah.
And it's way easier to be proud of it. But then when you're challenged by your own thoughts because of things that you say, all of a sudden it opens this whole door in your brain that's like, am I an idiot?
Definitely. I mean, this is why I love Anthony Bourdain. Like, definitely an imperfect human with plenty of things you can criticize, you know, but like, what an incredible writer. And he was polarizing. I mean, have you guys seen the documentary about?
No.
Oh my gosh, huge recommendation. Like that's,
Okay.
It actually made the news. This is something that I think you guys would be interested in because there's one or two sentences in that movie that were AI generated. The director took a couple of liberties and this created an uproar. So it's something to look into, but anyway, like, yeah, just an incredible film about his life. And, I think in that film, he says something like, if he didn't offend somebody with something that he made, that it was kind of a failure because he wasn't touching on a raw enough truth, which is like,
That's
I mean, I'm
interesting.
kind of paraphrasing right now, but you know.
Well, I've heard Jake say something actually really similar. Not that long ago, you were like, I haven't gotten as many dislikes lately. I probably have to change something, which I thought was an interesting insight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's, I don't know. I think it's a good gauge of whether you're challenging yourself or saying anything of meaning. Because, I mean, ultimately, I think one of the greatest things about art is the ability to change minds and change opinions. And you're not going to change minds and change opinions by just like saying things that everyone agrees with. So,
Totally.
Yeah, I think it's good to get hate comments and dislikes, and it's a good gauge of the health of your channel. within reason.
Totally. I get a thrill with pulling off what could be an offensive title.
Oh yeah.
There's something absolutely thrilling to me about that. Like I don't know why, but I gravitate towards because I think storytelling, and I'm sorry guys, like I'll let you take care, like move on to the next
that's
segment.
what we're here for. We're here for this.
But like, I think one of the unbelievable powers of storytelling is that when done really well, you can present an idea that somebody initially rejects and create enough space for them to consider it. That is like exceptional storytelling, when it's done right.
Yeah, and it's terrifying
totally.
as an artist to be in that space because you're basically the target on the other side of people's opinions and thoughts and feelings. So
Yeah,
for sure.
And
but you are a liaison. You're like, is it? Oh my God, I don't know if I'm. Is it Saint Paul who's waiting at the gates of heaven?
St. Peter.
Saint Peter. Yeah. So Saint Peter or alternatively like Virgil, right, in hell. You're this kind of guide for people. That is literally what I'm always thinking about when I'm telling stories. It's like I am at the liminal space between one perspective of the world and another, and if I do my job correctly, you can enter a new world.
wow. That's beautiful and so terrifying at the same time.
Are you Virgil or are you St. Peter?
Yeah.
I prefer Virgil because I like making myself. I prefer to be the fucked up one in a situation. Like, instead of criticizing somebody else, I will point the finger at myself and go, look at all the ways I'm gluttonous or whatever, right? And then people can receive the information a little bit better because it's on me and not on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
I didn't know we had Virgil on the pod.
Yeah.
What's the next topic?
Oh man.
I love those. I love those long pauses.
Dude, it's hard to know where to go next because we got a big agenda here, and I knew this would be the case, that when you get the three of us together, we're just going to want to talk about a bunch of things. So I'll let you choose the next direction, Shafe. You want to hit us with your
Dino
interest
news is
stories?
dumb. I don't want to do Dino news.
Okay. Well, I kind of figured we were skipping
30
that.
By the way, dinosaurs is another one that I did have a fascination for, but I put it in the category of space stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I
Put them in a box and just shelved it.
I just
shelf.
remember one show I watched about dinosaurs. Like, it was so well done, 3D animated, whatever, and I just loved it. So anyway, I don't know.
Well, then maybe I'll just quickly hit dinosaur news because
Go for it.
Well, the inspiration for this topic was I was thinking about how awesome Europe is. You have really good food. You have amazing public transportation. The people are all nice. Blah blah blah. What do we have, right? And so I decided to bring up the fact that in Oklahoma, some guy discovered a new dinosaur. So that's
like when?
That's a great question. The article was posted on January 26th. So
okay,
quite.
But can
recently.
you imagine if the article was posted in January 26th of 1803, and like this is from 200 years ago?
Nice try, dude. No, this is recent.
This is a hard-hitting dinosaur space news podcast, dude.
Also, no. Anyway, new dinosaur. Let's go.
Wait, what?
That's it. New
That's
dinosaur.
it. I just feel like that's a nothing topic. So, but it is pretty sick. Apparently, one more thing about the dinosaur. It's it was a bird-like dinosaur, but the name they came up for it was the Ionophrom, which means where did it go?
What is it? Is this like a bird type or like a long neck type or a carnivorous
There's
type?
no picture of it, but
water type.
Jake just feeding into the conversation by asking some somewhat valid question. Yeah, does it have like long teeth or short teeth?
Yeah, fire
like,
type or water
wanna
type
know.
Pokemon?
Well, you'll be into this though because it pertains to I mean, you're Virgil, and the name of the dinosaur translates to Pharaoh's Dawn, chicken from hell, which I thought was super heavy metal.
Oh man!
So it's the chicken from hell was discovered in Oklahoma,
The
which
chicken
I thought
from
was kind of
hell.
cool. So,
dude, that's like Virgil's little pet sidekick.
oh, you
over
ride
here.
around on the chicken
Right.
from
All right,
hell.
if we're gonna make this Virgil thing a joke, I just want to clarify. I'm not saying I am Virgil. I'm saying I take inspiration. Okay, so
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so that concludes dinosaur news. I'm sorry.
Dude, don't be sorry for Dino news. I got us on the space.
when you were
news
bringing space and dino news to this, were you sort of like wondering what my reaction to this was going to be, or?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know. I think Jake and I this morning were like, oh, what are we going to talk about? There's a new dinosaur.
we mostly plan what we're gonna talk about, and it's usually a bunch of stupid stuff. And yeah, this time we were like, well, we're gonna have plenty to talk about with Nathaniel, but what normal topics can we come up with?
Hey, at least
So-
we're doing a first. Like, I don't think anyone has ever said that you're like a guy riding around on a chicken from hell on any other podcast. No one's ever
True.
said that. So
No, true.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't go on a lot of podcasts. I just want you
Oh,
guys to
dang.
know.
Dang.
So,
well, I'm double
Dude,
honored then.
We're honored. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's good because
Yeah. You're
we
talking to Virgil, so
Oh my gosh.
man, this is crazy. Well, that's good that you don't go on a lot of podcasts because we put out a Q&A post to get some questions for you.
Dang.
And there's some pretty crazy feedback on this Q&A. So if it's cool with you, we'll probably just run through a couple questions.
this segment we're gonna skip. This one we'll skip. We'll go back. Is there more dino news?
Dude, that's all the dino news I found.
I knew we'd get you on
No,
board
dude.
with space and dinos.
Find
dude.
more dino news because this one we'll have to skip. No, I'm down. Let's do it. Let's do
That's
it.
funny. Okay, good. Well,
It turns out, like, plot twist, you guys just came up with the wackiest possible questions to ask me that you wouldn't directly ask me, so you made up usernames.
no,
What?
dude, who
What?
would do
You would do
that?
that?
Come on.
Oh my!
Come on, dude. Get
Come on,
your
dude.
conspiracy.
Let's come back
theories
down
out
to
of here.
reality.
Yeah, God, chill out, Nathaniel.
All right, let's have it. Let's hear this.
First question from the people. Jake Paul asked, "Do you have any interest in YouTube boxing? And if so, who would your opponent be?"
How did I know that this is gonna happen?
I cannot believe you just sniped that out of us.
I sniped it before you could even land it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who would I box? Well, I'm a small dude. I mean, you guys both met me in person. I'm 5'6".
Yeah, but you're jacked, dude.
But it doesn't matter, man. Like, the thing I learned, I remember I arm wrestled a friend of mine who was like 7 inches taller than me. Okay, but he wasn't working out a ton, and I was, so I was like, I got this. He crushed me. I mean, it was a moment where I realized I can be in great shape for my size, but like, this is why there's weight classes. Like, I
Yeah.
don't stand a chance.
Yeah, even the
against a
best
bigger
fighters
dude.
in the world need a weight class.
So, and I think, I mean, what's really cool about like jiu-jitsu and whatnot is smaller. Like, I mean, if you have great control of your body, you can be dangerous, you know? But
Yeah.
boxing, like, forget it. Like, I don't know. Give me a small opponent.
Man. Okay. So no beefs on YouTube you're looking to settle. No arch nemesis that you're looking to fight.
Oof.
Because we could switch to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, okay, fine. If you had to jujitsu fight someone.
Well, I mean, just like anybody, there's people out there doing stuff I vibe with a lot less, you know, but like beefs? Nah. I mean, I know there's people that dislike me, but I don't give them oxygen. I don't give them attention. So, you know.
Yeah, true. Wouldn't
Yeah, I
even
don't-
give
is
them
this
the
an answer?
1-2.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer.
That is a good answer, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have an opponent, or should I move on to the next question?
I think we've talked about this in the
past.
past.
I think Shaffer and I have talked about our opponents.
Who's yours? I don't even remember.
Mine was Danny Gevirtz.
Dude, my list is getting longer and longer.
Danny Gevirtz. So pick like a person you actually admire. Okay, I see. Yeah. My opponent's Jake Frew.
Oh, snap. 3-way.
Oh, let's go, dude. Yeah, it's too bad that I'm 6'10", because the weight class is just super unfair. But
wow, you have a high-pitched voice for a 6'10", dude.
I'll be the guy with the bell on that one. I don't like Danny versus I don't. My list is getting pretty long. If more people subscribe to my channel membership, I think I'd be more problematic in the sphere of YouTube. But
yeah,
joking aside, a few years ago, like it wasn't even him, it was the situation, but like with Matt Diavella, I think I just got so sick of everybody comparing the two of us. And then obviously he was older and more established and, had like a hit Netflix documentary. So like, what chance do I have as a dude in his early 20s, right? So I think like that one drove me nuts for a while, but I never had any actual animosity towards him. He was just the object of my frustration,
yeah.
But he's an extremely nice dude with huge biceps. There's no way I'm boxing him.
Yeah, right. You can fight him.
But anyway, like I think what's cool about that is that over time, that completely faded. I haven't gotten a single comment related to Matt Diavella in like 3 years.
That's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. And I think it's just a testament of like, eventually over time, you become more established. I mean, I think I was always doing original stuff, but I can see the similarities people saw and, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to say is I feel like we've talked about this offline before, but it's just such a natural human instinct to want to draw connections to anything.
For sure.
You hear a new song from a new artist, you want to connect it to the closest band you know of that it's like.
Yeah.
So it just makes perfect sense that anytime someone sees someone new on YouTube, they want to say, oh, you're just like this, you're just like that.
Yeah.
Where, the reality is you just fully have a style of your own. And that's just such a, I don't know, I think that just shows more about humanity than it does your style, that people want to categorize it somehow.
Dude, and let me just say, if you're going to be compared to anyone, what a compliment for Matt Diavella to be compared to Nathaniel Drew.
Exactly, dude, exactly. Matt Diavella is lucky.
Did you flip that one? Yeah. Well, I think it's just it's so incredible to me how the perspective on this changed over time, because I was so frustrated about it. And like,
well, that's interesting for me.
I'm not going to name names, but there was somebody who did a video about me analyzing my style and whatnot a few years ago, and she spent the first minute like just talking about how much I was compared to Matt Diavella, and I was like, are you kidding me? Is this a video about my style, or is this just going to continue this trope?
That's interesting for me as someone who became a regular viewer later, I guess, because I've never even thought to make, like, you seem now, like wherever I got on the train, you guys feel like very, very different to me. So I knew about that, but that's a weird thing to hear, because I've never sort of seen you two as being in even similar like genres of storytelling. It seems pretty different, but
totally,
I don't know.
Totally.
Have you hung out with him or met him in person?
Yeah,
cool.
We met in person. Super nice guy.
Sweet.
But it's so funny because like all the conversations in person too reflected things I knew already because of what we were making. We had conversations about like the afterlife and spirituality, and I think like these are things I think about tremendously. And, Matt's focused on some other stuff, and I think that's like the beauty of what we all bring into this life and the stories that we want to tell and whatnot. But it was just like when we met in person, it became so unbelievably obvious that we are so not the same person. And it's just funny how like the internet, I think, distorts perceptions. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And also totally was inspired by Matt's incredible honesty. He's always felt really real when he's sharing about something he's struggling with. And back when I was going hard with YouTube, like trying to break through late 2018, early 2019, he was a big inspiration, So whatever. I think being compared with somebody like that was a huge compliment, even though at a certain point, it was just the amount of comparisons that started to drive me nuts.
Sure, that's fair. Well, in my own experience, it's a funny parallel, obviously not the same thing, but when Jake and I first met, I felt similarly because Jake was like making really similar stuff to like what I was making, and I think both of us were feeling about each other like that same like, whoa,
really?
he's like just like me.
Man.
And I think I think one of the greatest things that we ever did collectively is just lean into it and become friends because
Yeah.
Now it's two mustachioed men talking to each other.
Yeah, if anything, I was having the literal equal opposite feeling of like, God, his stuff's so sick and like exactly what I want to be making, and it was just such a mutual feeling. And so the best thing I think you can do is not feel like you have to protect that, but to just be.
Well, I mean, the lesson at the end of the day that I've learned from Jake and then from hanging out with you two and everything is like, what an awesome opportunity storytelling is to interact with other storytellers. It's the most interesting conversations you'll get to have as people who think about these things the same way that we do. And so I feel bad for people who get competitive about stuff like your channel versus my channel versus this versus that, because the collaboration side of things is almost what makes it worth it for me, So,
dude,
there's so much. Sorry,
go
for
ahead,
it, Jake. But I have so many things I want to say about this.
Yeah.
So I think first of all, I think it's so cool, Shaffer. In particular, I've asked you a bunch of filmmaking questions in recent months, and you've been so forthright and open. And that is something that, definitely in the moment, I thank you, but I'm not sure you're aware of like the full extent of the gratitude, because you're being like, you could easily go like trade secrets, whatever, like this is my secret sauce, I don't want to share it. But I think what's so cool about that is that it's kind of contagious. It's like, well, they're so open and sharing, like I'm going to do the same thing, and like you've shared a lot about how you color grade and whatnot, and we're still making stuff that's so wildly different. Like there's no way we can make the same videos. We just cannot do it.
It's true.
And so it's sort of an illusion to think that somebody can copy your style ever. But I also think, I've been thinking about this too, because I have a very competitive streak, and creativity should not be a competitive endeavor, but sometimes it can be. True creativity is not competitive. It's collaborative. It's open. It's connected, right? But when ego comes in, it can get competitive. And I think when I was younger, the competitiveness was actually fear-based. It was like, oh my God, I'm too late to the party. Everybody made all the cool things, and I want to feel like I can make cool things that make people think I'm cool and get that reaction and feel special and whatnot. But like when you are aware that it's all about this certain kind of feeling that you want to have and that you're chasing, you don't have to follow that. You don't have to operate with that sort of mindset. And what's crazy about that I've realized, I've been reflecting on this a lot recently, is that kind of like, I got to compete, I got to go faster or whatever, it robs you of the joy of making things. And as I continue to reinvent myself and change how I go about things, I have more awareness around that, and I'm feeling that less, which is allowing me to just enjoy the unbelievable magic of, you have an empty canvas and you got a story to tell. What a unbelievable joy and privilege it is that I can spend my time and energy doing this, and learning about myself. I think that is the bigger perspective we all got to keep a hold of, and not let fear take over.
Yeah. I mean, not to dive into the whole quitting conversation, but that's like the antidote to this, this thing with everyone burning out and leaving YouTube. Like if you can find that like level of fulfillment and enjoyment out of it, you don't have to worry about it. But if you're always chasing the competition and numbers side of it, then you're in big trouble.
Let me also just say, like, so much behavior is learned, and like the openness towards the whatever, like tips and tricks and tactics and everything feels very like symbiotic, because the way we even connected in the first place was like, you sent me an Instagram message when I was like under 5,000 subscribers, complimenting my stuff, and that to me was like such a huge like learning moment too, to just like celebrate other people. Like for someone so big to do that for, you know, a channel my size was just like, I feel like from both of you guys, because both of you have been so hugely instrumental on the direction of me as a person and of my channel. It's like I feel like a lot of the things you're complimenting me on, I get from like people like you. So that's another.
That's hilarious because I discovered you through Jake. Jake mentioned you in one of his videos, and I'm like, who is this dude? You know, and I head on
dude.
over.
Jake's a good guy to know.
Okay, easy on the love fest, everyone.
Yeah,
And also, fuck you both.
Yeah.
What are you, 2 more Virgils? What's going on here?
Dude, it's crazy that we dived into that whole conversation about Matt Diavella because Matt Diavella actually asked a question. He said, once I beat the shit out of you in the boxing ring and you can't make videos anymore, what are you going to do as an alternate career?
I'm like, did you actually prepare that question beforehand? That's so violent. Are you for real?
That might have been a little bit ad-libbed.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Matt Diavella saying that is just unthinkable. That is crazy,
okay.
dude.
I was surprised too.
Disclaimer, Matt Diavella didn't say that. I made it up. Matt Diavella would never beat the shit out of anyone.
What would I do?
Yeah, what would you do if you couldn't make videos as a career?
I have a better answer. Okay. I love making videos, but I'm going to do this alternate thing as well. Ooh. Okay. As in, instead of being in a scenario where I can't make videos anymore, so I'll do this other thing, I'm going to do this other thing. And that is, I don't know if it's such a cliche because so many YouTubers do it, but I really want to write books. Like, I really feel way before I wanted to be a YouTuber, which happened like in my teenage years, you know. As a kid, I wanted to be an author. And I feel like, to be honest with you, YouTube videos is like my way of slowly building up to that. Just like how you guys are kind of building up to maybe making a movie or something.
Yeah.
For me, I'm sharpening the sword of like articulating my thoughts clearly, you know, through videos.
Can I ask you a question that might be dumb, but I was wondering earlier today because I watched your second to most recent second channel video about the book, and
yeah,
I feel like this is a dumb question, but I'm still interested. Are you thinking nonfiction or fiction or both?
I would love to do all of it.
Yeah.
I do think writing a fiction book would be insane. I have so many ideas, but definitely nonfiction first.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because I'm kind of thinking about it as like, can I do baby steps instead of giant leaps into new formats? So I'm already doing nonfiction writing about my life and lessons I'm learning. So to write a book in that way is just a long form version of the same thing, is kind of how I see it.
Yeah.
Not easy. Okay. Something about trying to write a couple hundred pages that are really well done and interesting to people is like climbing a mountain. It's so difficult. But yeah, nonfiction first and then one thing at a time. I mean, when I was younger, I was trying to do it all at the same time. Like I'm actually 80% done with a photo book that has been shelved and I would love to publish it, but it's like one thing at a time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Dang.
So
that's sweet. I don't know that I'd even call that a cliche thing for someone on YouTube. If anything, that's pretty, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty admirable because I think I would say the cliche YouTuber thing to do is make clothing. Is quit. Yeah.
Is quit.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
Make clothing. Yeah. But I think a lot of YouTubers treat books like an extension of their merch. Which, you know what, just to point the finger at myself and be a little Virgil here. I kind of fell into that trap a little bit, where I was like, this could be a career boosting, income generating thing that I'm passionate about as well, but I can do this other thing as well. And I have realized that led me off course with writing a book. And I really just want to write a book because I want to write a book. and I want it to be from the heart.
Right.
And I think that's a super important subject for me, to be honest with you. Like, with everything going on in the world, it feels really important for me to write a book about how to live with your heart, you know? And the only way this is going to be any good is if I can live it as well, which is so much more difficult, you know, done than said, right?
Well, you can push back
So-
against this if you don't align with this, but my assumption would be what you don't want is to be a YouTuber with a book. You want to be a YouTuber and an author and have those two things exist like as a respected subcategory of your own being, if you will. So like an example is like, I don't know if you ever followed the whole like Filthy Frank transition into Joji, but it's like not the same guy whatsoever. It's not like, oh, here's a YouTuber that became a musician. It's like they're almost seen as two separate entities because the work is so standalone, phenomenal in their own genres, you know. So
honestly, Filthy, this is part of a different topic that I think is super fascinating. There's a dangerous category of YouTuber that is, I don't like to think about it too much because they're so impressive in what they've done. I've just got to go on my journey and we'll see how it goes. And it's going to look different, you know, but like Filthy Frank's a great example. A couple of other incredible examples are, you know, I guess he wasn't a YouTuber, but Donald Glover,
right?
With Childish Gambino, unbelievable.
Right.
Hold on, there was another one that was just in my head. Bo Burnham is like, unbelievable what he's done, right? So the danger with these people, I take a lot of inspiration, but I don't look at their trajectory too closely because I was attempting to do it before, and then I realized like that's not how you do it. You do it by following your path, and it unfolds how it's supposed to, not by like strategically pulling it off, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Love it.
you know,
That's
I do
beautiful.
think that we have to all remember we're all extremely young and extremely fortunate to be already doing this stuff, you know?
Amen,
I never
brother.
forget the moment I made it was when I just began committing so much of my time to doing this sort of thing. And
No kidding. Yeah.
to be able to make enough money just to break even was unbelievable to me. So I now, like, you know, fingers crossed that I can continue on this path. Like, I got the rest of my life to continue exploring other formats if I want or what have you, but there's really no rush. And I'm learning that there's certain formats like directing a film or what have you, that there's a reason why all the most successful people that do those sorts of things are much older. Like, you need life experience, you need emotional maturity. Like, let me get there at the pace that I got to get there, you know?
Yeah, and YouTube has this weird effect, at least on me, that because it's such a new medium, it makes you feel like when you're young is the only time you can do it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever feel that, but yeah, sometimes
But
it
that's
just feels
changing.
like, exactly. Yeah. as the
I mean, my
platform.
dad's a YouTuber. So,
Really? Sick.
Yeah, and he's like doing great. Like, he's
cool.
making a full-time income with it, which is kind of unbelievable.
Wow. What's his channel
So-
about? You want to give him a quick shout out?
Yeah, Beneath the Surface is the name. Beneath the
Sweet.
Surface.
He's commented on my channel.
Oh, no way.
I was stoked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I mean, I tell everybody about your channel. So, like, I think
you.
what I do is I just promote the different people in my life. I'm like, you got to check this out. You know?
Sick. That's awesome.
I definitely told a bunch of people about the RGB series because I just think
thanks,
it's
man.
an act of, you have giant balls, bro, to post 3 videos in a row that are one letter and blow up your relationships with brands. Like, that is
dude.
crazy, man.
Hey, crushed my analytics, lost a sponsor, but whatever. It was fun.
It's like nuts. But yeah, I think like, hold on, what was I even saying? Oh yeah, my dad is a great example of someone who, I mean, he's in his 50s now, and I think this is changing where I so agree with everything you guys have been saying about how this world, the YouTube world, is maturing, and there's more and more space. Like, there have been phases where I'm like, there is no room on this platform for art. No room. I don't feel it at all. And not to point the finger at Jimmy, you know, like Mr. Beast himself is not a bad guy, but I do think like all of us in this corner of YouTube are so freaking sick of, the like obsessed with retention. Like, let's drive a car over 18 buses and see what happens. Like, I think we're all kind of done with that one. So I'm so thrilled to see what feels like an explosion of like indie filmmaking, solo filmmaking people right now.
Yeah.
Well,
It's great.
a thought I was having the other day, which is actually counterintuitive to my typical thought process, because I love to think negative things about Mr. Beast. I really.
I mean, he's not a bad guy.
No,
but I gotta
for
say,
sure.
like,
For
I
sure.
support the criticism, not because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm, because it's great that he's supporting 1 million charities and whatnot in Africa and doing, but it's more so, I think, the dosage, right? I have had so much more Mr. Beast in my life, or the ripple effects of that on YouTube, than I want, and I'm happy for his success. I'm happy for other people who have had success with that, but I'm ready for some fresh stuff. That's kind of my stance.
What I was thinking about it was, I almost don't know if our corner of YouTube could exist in its current form without that content, because it's almost like for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And it feels like it's so easy to watch a video like a Mr. Beast video and feel like you have a headache and like there were 14 people talking to you at the same time. And to swing back over to a side of YouTube that's paced so much slower feels like a full vacation from this, just like, the style and the rhythm of what a Mr. Beast video is. And so there's a part of me that's like, oh my gosh, I can't even like bring myself to look at the thumbnail without getting a headache. And there's also a part of me that's like, it's because of that I even have room on this website at all. So
totally.
That's just, yeah.
I know. I thought that the other day, and I was like, wow,
way to
you're
look
so...
at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if anything, it's like, it's the most extreme example of the like high tide raises all ships saying.
Yeah.
Where like we can talk about, us mutually benefiting each other. But yeah, the furthest example of that is, well, if you get a guy getting 100 million people on YouTube, it's going to trickle over at some point.
Right.
I mean, do I agree with that last point? I'm not sure I do, because I don't think the same people are watching Mr. Beast videos and watching what you guys are making. I don't think it's the same people at all. I think there's basically probably, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think there's very little crossover. But I do agree with your point, Shaffer, that like, you know what? I mean, if you extrapolate your point just now, which is really interesting about reactions and like counter movements and whatnot, if you extrapolate that out, like, and think about politics, that's kind of a wild thought, right? Like, the left is to blame for the right and the right is to blame for the left. It's kind of, I don't know if that's an equivalent at all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm certainly no expert in that realm, but I do know, like, in our country specifically, there are huge swings where like everyone leans left, everyone leans right. I don't think it's, I'm not the guy to talk about politics, but I do think that it is a phenomenon.
And I'm thinking out loud. It's not
scale.
It's not a fully worked out thought at all. So I don't know, whatever. But what I like about that thought is that instead of just criticizing what's out there, it's almost like a perspective of gratitude and appreciation. You're like, you know what, that exists, and therefore that led me to where I am and what I want to make as a reaction to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't take too much credit for it because my typical way of thinking about all this stuff is pretty pessimistic. So I was surprised by that thought. I was like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah.
So
that is a surprisingly optimistic thought. I like it. Yeah.
I think I'm also feeling right now, maybe this is just the journey of learning and growing as you go along, but like I, in some ways, bought into it a little bit. You know, I felt like I needed to do faster paced stuff or have extremely like conceptual ideas that could attract a lot of people, viral thinking, you know? And it just feels like such a relief to me right now to not be buying into that as much. But it's wrong to blame a person or a group of people for this. That's my own journey. I got to take responsibility for the decisions I'm making. I tried different things out. Some stuff didn't feel so great. Other things did. And here I am now, right? So
Yeah. Another thing Jake and I talk a lot about is like, what do you get out of it? Because if you do something, like a great example of this on my channel is like my van life video. Like I followed every YouTube rule on my van life video and it broke 1 million. But then on the other end of it, it was like, this didn't feel like something
Definitely.
I would have made. This feels like it was like dictated to me. And I'm not nearly as proud of that video as so many on my channel that have 2,000, 3,000 views. So
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
For sure.
there's also there's a cost benefit for an audience and as an artist. Like, what do you get out of it? And the answer is different all the time. So
100%. So this is an interesting thought because I'm at a stage now where I'm experimenting a lot. And I guess if you saw the most recent video I did on No Backup Plan, I'm talking about the extremes of the spectrum in terms of production value. I'm either going to go super high production value because I love doing that and I can't help myself. Like I just am attracted to that. But I'm also going to go super low, like as in like very, very simple without even any music. Like it's just me sitting and talking. And I don't know. I'm curious to see where this leads. But I do think like, I don't know. I think this is also sort of where we're at right now with YouTube. And honestly, some of the conversations you guys have been having have sparked ideas for me as well.
Wow.
Cool. It is really cool. I mean, it blew my mind to think that a YouTuber might win an Oscar at some point. Like I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, that was Jay Alto's
shout out
idea.
Jay Alto,
Yeah, that would be sick if that did happen.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe we might be getting into this territory anyway, so I may as well ask you the question that Tom Scott happened to ask, and that's are you planning on quitting YouTube?
So man, I mean, it's such an emotional journey and a roller coaster for me because of the intensity that I bring to the things that I do and make. I think like, okay, so right now I'm like a couple months away from taking a pretty big break, which I haven't published or made any big deal out of because I think at this point on my main channel, I don't know. I'm not even sure anybody's going to notice if I'm gone for a few months. So, few thoughts on this. The thought of taking a break, the decision to take a break, gave me so much creative energy. It's unbelievable. So I've actually been recording a bunch of simple videos for No Backup Plan that I think I'm going to schedule out during my time off. So it's not even going to seem like I'm gone.
Whoa.
You know? But what I've realized now, almost 10 years into making YouTube videos, is I'm obsessed with telling stories. So sometimes you can wear yourself out, you can get exhausted. But there's something that just keeps bringing me back over and over and over again. I just absolutely love it. There's so much to explore. It feels like there's so much possibility. And I do think it's such a dangerous thing that everybody falls into, or a lot of people fall into, myself included, to get into a rhythm where you're posting weekly, like Tom Scott, right?
Yeah.
And I love that he had a super dramatic exit, right? Which is awesome. I suspect he'll be back. But I think if you can find a sustainable rhythm, this is a dream job. It really is. And like, I don't know. I just hate the idea of saying I'll quit because I have such a love for making things. I don't know what shape or form that'll look like. I don't know at what rhythm. But until something better than YouTube comes along, where you have infinite freedom, right? You don't have to answer to anybody, and then you can reach an unbelievable amount of people. I mean, how much better can you get than that, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
I think the obstacles on this journey of creating on YouTube are very internal. It's our attachments. It's, I got to be the best in X category. It's, I got to not fail people. It's, oh my gosh, who am I if I lose this validation or this following? And that has been a whole trip for me, because what's crazy is I'm insanely grateful for the audience that I've built or attracted, or however you want to put it. But I had some serious attachment issues to work through with such a large number, right? That sort of messes with your mind. And it was that was causing so much stress and turmoil for me more than anything else. It's not YouTube's fault. It's not any algorithmic anything. It was, I just got so attached to, oh my God, all these people care about me. This leads to a really cool lifestyle. I don't want to lose this.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of an internal thing to work through.
Yeah.
And I do feel like I need breaks, big breaks. I'm super excited for this break that probably no one will notice, because I'm going to go live life. I'm going to do cool things. I think I'm always going to have a camera with me, and I won't always be recording everything, but I found that I love recording stuff, you know?
That's sick.
And if I create enough space in my life, there will be stories that I'm going to be super excited to share. So
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. That's a super long-winded answer, but I think like,
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
it sounds like what we were talking about earlier, like what you get out of it. It sounds like you're in a chapter now where you're looking for more artistic fulfillment than necessarily like mass validation through whatever
Totally.
analytic you want to measure it by,
Totally.
which I'm a big advocate for.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you actually pointed to an amazing example. When you have the experience of making a viral video that you are not thrilled about, that is an unbelievably educational experience.
Yeah.
Like my example was the Brits versus Americans video, which was well produced, was fun to do, was like, I'm happy with the result. I think a lot of people had a lot of opinions about it, whatever. Got 1 million views, and I don't feel amazing after it. I'm like, just, you know, like this was cool, but I don't feel like a sense of pride and deep meaning from this. I think that's something to investigate. It's like, do I want to do this for the rest of my life, or do I want to explore with other stuff, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a good marker. And I mean, we kind of already dove into this, but we were just talking recently about how sometimes all it takes is telling yourself you're going to take a break to start to see what you actually value and what you're doing. So yeah, I'm like that to say, like, that's sweet that you're going to be taking this month off. Cause yeah, I think
it'll be more than a month.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
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 Minimum 3.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I think take breaks. I mean, that's my...
Yeah. And I think
we live in a world where there's not enough breaks. And, you know,
yeah.
even like, look, even your favorite show, right? There's seasons, and then they got to take a break, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, totally.
Can I give you guys Shaffer Nichols' guide for quitting YouTube?
Yeah. Disappear entirely.
Shaffer Nichols' guide for quitting YouTube, which I wish more people would do, is just quit. If you're gonna quit, just quit. Don't do this big parade about how great you've done and how amazing everything has been. And just quit.
Totally.
Can I just say though, I like, it's so wild. But 1 year ago, okay, you guys are getting insider info. Nobody knows about this. 1 year ago, almost exactly, I made a video that I'd never published called I Need to Make a Change or something, you know, classic dramatic YouTube. It's so cringy looking back on it. And I said in that video, I have to make a big shift. I don't know when I'll be back, whatever, but I'm not going to do sponsorships anymore on my channel, whatever. I was at a point where I was just feeling exhausted, burnt out, like I needed to change things up. And I think when you're in that headspace and you're just feeling emotionally drained, you make horrible decisions. And I'm so glad I didn't do this, because you know what? It's not bad to have sponsor support. It makes a lot of other things possible. I ended up finding my feet again and getting excited and made a lot of stuff that I'm proud of in the last year. But I share this because I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking, you know? But I think when you're in that state of mind, it gets very traumatic, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I think,
when you're
sorry,
already...
just to finish, like I think when you're able to take a break but not be at the end of your rope, like it's so much better. I don't need to make a dramatic announcement. I know I'm coming back. I know there's so many more things I'll make, you know, but it's just tricky to not fall into that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Because especially when you're already working by yourself so often and in your own world, it feels like you should post that video of what I'm doing next, I'm quitting,
Yeah.
how I'm changing directions. It feels natural to make that video, but then you look on the audience perspective, and usually it's kind of like, that's fine. Like, I'm ready to just see the new change versus, you know, it's almost like it does more good for the poster than it does for the audience to see those videos.
Well, it's frustrating for the audience too. I guarantee so many of these people who have quit this year, so many of them will be back in some way, shape, or form.
Definitely.
And it's more frustrating for the audience when you're like, you said you were gone, I let this go, and now you're back.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't even commit to quitting, let alone like, you know what?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Were you frustrated by Tom Scott's? Because
No,
I thought
not
it
at all.
was
Not at
really
all.
well
I
done.
just think you're closing a door so prematurely to people who have this thing that has taken a lifetime to build, and the chances that you're not going to want to open that door again are so slim. At least so.
Yeah.
All these people are like, I'm quitting. I'm taking a year off. I'm taking 2 years off. It's like, dude, I don't know the opinions and thoughts I'm going to have about my current situation 1 month from now. To make any
fair
definitive
enough.
statement about anything feels so premature. And yeah, when it comes
But
to
let me
something
just play devil's advocate here.
yeah.
Like, have you seen Xavier Dolan's, like, he announced he was quitting making films?
Whose?
I think you pronounce it Xavier Dolan.
Oh, I'm not familiar with him.
Guys, you are familiar with this guy. He's
For a
like
movie
the
podcast,
biggest
we're not
Quebecois. Hold on, he's like the biggest Quebecois director. I mean, this guy's super young. He's made 1 million amazing movies. Have you seen Mommy?
Mommy.
No.
No.
Really? Okay. So he's I'm just looking this up right now to give you some more of his films, but I Killed My Mother, Lawrence Anyways. No? Okay, super cool. I mean, Mommy is the aspect ratio of that entire film is 1:1,
Well,
which is
Ooh.
wild. I mean, you guys, this is definitely up your alley.
Yeah.
He's 34. He's 34 and he's done like 10 films and he quit. He just did this big thing. He quit.
Oh,
And
whoa.
I think I have 2 thoughts on this. One is, Shaffer, do feel like maybe you'll never experience this, but maybe you will one day, where as your audience is now growing and maybe gets bigger, and you've been good at keeping distance, so maybe this will never happen to you, but you can get swept up into things, you know? Like
Yeah.
you can get caught up into this exciting, like, oh, I have brand deals. I want to tell all these stories. Like I can travel now doing this or whatever. And I think it increases the intensity, you know, and you can end up in that headspace. But also I think filmmaking is an unbelievable, like very intense medium, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys have seen Burden of Dreams. This is this is another unbelievable documentary about Werner Herzog. You guys are familiar with Werner Herzog, please.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I know that guy, yeah.
His experience shooting in the Amazon, and he worked for like 5 years on one film, and everything that you could possibly imagine going wrong went wrong. And you think to yourself, why the fuck is this guy doing this? You know, like, it's crazy. And it does feel like filmmaking, when you push it to its limits, is an unbelievably demanding medium. It pushes you. So I don't know, just playing devil's advocate, I think like a lot of these people, I mean, I look at what Tom Scott was doing and I'm like, how are you mentally sane? Like the amount of work that you're putting in every week is nutso,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I do think that the validation, the money, the prestige, the attention, it's like every powerful force there is pushing you forward. It's like, keep doing it until you have nothing left.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I this is totally unrelated and you guys won't know this at all, but the manager of Liverpool just quit.
What do you mean we
Liverpool
wouldn't know that? That's sports. We know that.
So Liverpool's one of the biggest
Football
clubs.
teams. Yep.
Yeah, soccer. Yeah.
I almost called it soccer,
Okay.
but we got Nathaniel Drew. It's football.
Oh yeah, true.
So this guy's like top 5 best football managers in the world.
Oh yeah.
there are people, I know for a fact this man means more to a lot of people than a lot of family members. Okay, like this guy is an insane, it's unbelievable what he pulled off. And it's just fascinating to me, the shockwaves that this created in the entire football world. Like, people couldn't believe it because he's been with the club for 9 years. They've won everything. And I'm just thinking to myself, he looks exhausted in this announcement.
I'll bet.
And he did it before things got really bad, so he's not having any health issues or anything. But what I've noticed with things like that or with YouTube is YouTube is so emotional. You either love people or you hate them. It's so polarizing. And I think that's why there's so many opinions about this. And that's why it's so dramatic if someone's quitting. And look, you have a strong opinion about people saying they're quitting. You know, like everyone, it's either you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is one of the like beautiful things about the platform is that any viewer can feel that level of attachment, that they feel like they have the place to actually, you know, even leave hate or comments about it, where there's so many other mediums or forms of art where you wouldn't even feel that closeness to think that you could say anything. But
Definitely.
yeah, that's the good side. And then the downside is obvious and large. But that whole time I was trying to think of a stupid joke to make, but I couldn't remember Ted Lasso's name, so my Ted Lasso joke didn't land.
I haven't seen it. Is it worth it?
I've only seen a little of it, but it's about some American guy that goes to coach a football team. So I was just trying to remember his name so I could say that he was the coach that quit, but now I'm just explaining my joke.
I've also heard that I've heard that people either love or hate that show too. So polarizing
I think Americans probably dig it because it's basically like this Ted Lasso guy brings American values.
It's just America going to save a European soccer team.
Really
my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I feel like you would have some strong opinions about it, but
yeah. I feel like
anyway, I don't know. I feel like I'm just going on these super long monologues.
That's why we got
here.
you,
dude. Yeah, we're here for the introspection. We're here for all of it. We could.
Do you agree with what I'm saying? Like, or because I do feel like, I don't know. Shaffer in particular, I think is your views on this are fascinating to me because like you have been making videos for way longer than I have, you know. So, and I do think Shaffer, you're way more plugged into YouTube than I am. Like, I feel like I'm not an enormous YouTube consumer. I'm a YouTube creator, you know?
Yeah.
And so your opinions about this fascinate me, but like for the first time, things are picking up a little bit for you, I think. And I just wonder, you have such a unique way of navigating all this stuff, and maybe your self-deprecation will save you, where you're like, no, this is too many people. Like, I don't matter this much or whatever.
Delete the channel.
But it would be an insane character arc if you fell into some of these challenges at some point and had to shift your perspective. You know?
I mean, first off, in my own defense, I would also categorize myself as maybe a creator. I am a consumer as well.
Oh, dude, wait. I was not suggesting that you're not a creator, bro.
But
come on.
Like,
come on, man. Come on, you've got like my favorite channel, tied with Jake's.
No, dude, I know that's Shaffer, and he deserves it. Yeah.
No, I mean,
I will say when I discovered Shaffer's channel, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
No,
like,
thank you.
Same.
Just on the point of how emotional YouTube is, it is such a unique experience to land on a channel where you're like, you know, like it just doesn't happen often.
Well, I think in my experience, actually, my perspective as a YouTube consumer has been one of you find a channel like this and the feeling of watching them go from something relatable and fun to something enormous and untouchable is a real huge bummer. And I feel like I've been through that with a bunch of channels. And it's like, I think that is part of why my opinions are so strongly in favor of artistic integrity over any sort of monetary benefit of YouTube at all. I would rather have a side job and make YouTube videos ad free than I would make a bunch of and that's my current feelings towards it, just because maybe I'm just traumatized by being abandoned by all these people I look up to on the internet, and they all, I don't know, shift into something I didn't recognize from when I started watching. But more than that, I think like my family has really instilled in me the value of artistic integrity. Like my dad is a unbelievably good painter, like freaky good.
I've seen
painter.
multiple paintings and just been like, oh, that's a sick photo.
Yeah, it's
been
freaky how good he is. And then my sisters are the same. They're both artists, and I think if I were ever to shift into something that was like something they didn't recognize, then I wouldn't be able to like live with it. So I feel like for me, all these thoughts I have about like YouTube,
but that might happen,
are
dude.
kind of, I mean, it is true. It might happen. I think I'm less predisposed for that to happen to me though, too, just because it's like, it's in the way I was raised more than just my thoughts and opinions that I've developed along the way. It's like, it's my whole family, like lineage is like, there's nothing more valuable than your artistic integrity. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe it will. And I hope I don't look back on this someday with tears in my eyes and go, I had it all. But
well, I also feel like from getting to know you, you're so good at learning lessons from others' mistakes that it's almost like, I mean, you already said this, but you're really good at paying attention to what you don't like and using that as a lesson for yourself. So it's almost like you've said, you could almost say you've already made that mistake through someone else by watching it, recognize it, saying that's not what I want, and you're like very prepared for that.
Yeah, but you cannot learn all lessons that way.
Of course,
right?
yeah, of course.
And I do think that maybe your artistic journey could lead you in a way that your family doesn't recognize, but you feel it, right? Like,
yeah,
know.
Sure. I mean, that's totally possible. It's an interesting thing to even like imagine for me too, because like this always has felt so much like a thing for other people. Like talking to Jake Frew and Nathaniel Drew at the same time feels like something that's meant for somebody else. So I'm like, I made a video last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago now, it was just titled like I Have Enough, and I still feel that way. Like everything that I've gotten out of this feels like more than what I've like deserved anyway. Which I suppose you could call self-deprecating, but I think you can also just call it like I said at the beginning of the podcast, like this is all wonder to me. This is all amazing. The fact that this is all happening right now is spectacular and above expectation. And whatever happens from here, it's not like I'm trying to get more out of this. I have everything I've ever wanted out of this right now, like talking to you guys. So things could change, things will change. But right now, I think I at least have perspective of like, this doesn't happen to people. Where I'm at right now doesn't happen to 99.9999999% of everybody. So
yeah,
I think as long as I keep that in mind, like hopefully I'll be able to keep the sincerity, and who knows? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'd put my money
So
on
wait,
you,
so
dude.
your point about getting disappointed by channels is so fascinating to me. Like you could say that about, depending on your perspective. It doesn't seem like this is your perspective, but you could say that about me, right?
Yeah.
Is it a case that you discovered me late enough that it didn't feel like you were an early, you joined?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. My interaction with you, like I feel like I said earlier, like I was kind of a casual viewer before we interacted like more as friends than as like YouTube. So like my experience getting to know you has been first and foremost as a friend, and second off as a creative, person or whatever. I hate the word creator or filmmaker. That all came like after I knew you. And so I've never felt disappointed by you because I only know you as Nathaniel Drew. And then like the same way I know Jake, it's like, you guys are my friends, so I'm not going to go on this thing of like, oh, they disappointed me.
Right.
Because you're my friends, you know what I mean?
But it's funny because you had seen stuff I had done years before. We talked about the video I did on A Few Words on God, and stuff like that.
Well, I still put that in the bucket of like a casual viewer because I'd seen your thoughts on God video, which was hugely instrumental to me. Like, I think that was around my freshman year of college, where I think that was something where I was like, oh my gosh, here's like a dude who's similar in age to me who's making these videos that are impacting a huge amount of people. And I think I think now I'm less interested in the fact that it influenced a huge amount of people and just more interested in the fact that that's like a thing you can do. Like you were saying earlier, this is a dream job. And so like my interactions with channels like yours and like Jake's and like a bunch of others, like whether they be like I watched every video or not, it's all been instrumental. And so, yeah, I don't know. I can't say I've been disappointed by your channel because I'm now a consistent viewer, and now I love everything you make. So, you know, I don't know. It's like, maybe I didn't get maybe I didn't get on early enough to be disappointed by you.
Maybe. I mean, I think I have such conflicting thoughts about this because I for sure think some people have been disappointed by me and my evolution or whatever. But when I posted my recent video about going in a new direction, people were commenting from like, you know, that have been around for years. There was somebody who I had a channel that I ran in Spanish, a separate channel. I haven't posted on there in 7 years. And somebody commented going like, I missed that channel. Like, what? How do you even remember? You know? And so, I don't know. I think it's so interesting. I guess I'm fascinated because it's sort of a gut-wrenching thought to like feel relevant. And relevant from like the, not like big numbers, but like you're making something people are connecting with.
Yeah.
And then to fall off because, you know, from the outside perspective, you're being corrupted by money or greed or whatever, you know, or you're just not being creative anymore. It's such an interesting, hard life cycle, if you will. And it's such a bummer. So many channels have let you down, you know, like, but I think things cannot stay the same. Like you can't stay making the same thing forever.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Well,
it's tricky.
A greater thought on that point is creative evolution is something that I feel like you have to do as an artist anyway. And if you like just for example, if you take like the Beatles, every album from the Beatles is someone's favorite Beatles album. You know what I mean? You're going to let somebody down at some point, but the act of being creative in and of itself is a weird thing to feel so much pressure on because like, I've brought this up in 2 podcasts now, but Jake and I both read a Seth Godin book. Regardless of your thoughts of Seth Godin, his sentiment is creativity is a generous act, and I think being like too overly critical of it's The Practice by Seth Godin.
Okay,
and I think being too critical of who's getting disappointed by your generosity as an artist is not necessarily even a super productive place to be anyway.
Right, but you're doing it. You're being disappointed.
I don't think I'm being disappointed. I think I'm just being cautious.
Yeah, and I think the Beatles.
No. I'm not saying
like
for
by
you.
Other channels,
I'm saying
by other channels.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, what I'm saying is like the Beatles. In my analogy, is like a lot of people were probably let down by one album or another, but to someone it was their favorite. So me being disappointed by one thing someone is doing, someone else
like
it's
when
their
it
favorite
peaks
thing.
For someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's all
that's
in
what
the
I
eyes
was
of the
gonna-
beholder.
It's just relative,
super
yeah.
subjective.
Yeah, and you see that on your own channels or any type of art. Like, yeah, it's just inevitable that it's so rare for any artist to be one person's favorite artist their entire life.
Yeah,
you know, obviously
definitely.
you're going to go through new interests and new cycles. And so hopefully if you're lucky and you're an incredible artist, you'll continue to get waves of people. But
Yeah.
I mean, like ultimately it should be you going down your own interest in what feels best to you.
Yeah.
And then just hopefully that resonates with other people.
Yeah, and if you're making you happy, that's worth being critical of.
Exactly.
Like deciding not to do this or to do
Definitely.
this. Like for your own sanity, it's good to be critical of things. So
Totally.
Honestly, in an ideal world, I'd love to get to the point, probably won't happen in this lifetime, but I'd love to get to the point where I am fully okay with letting everybody down.
yeah.
In the pursuit of just doing something that feels good for me and like feels true to me.
So long as that's the case, so long as you're fulfilled, it's worth the
Right.
effort, you know?
Right.
If
But
everyone's
that's-
let down
right.
you, then that's
No. Wait, there's another way to go about it. You just get addicted to heroin and, then everyone can be disappointed, including yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we've done some solid introspection, dived into some deep, heavy topics. So maybe we do a quick lighter note.
A palate cleanser.
A palate cleanser, exactly. Shafe and I have some propositions for you, and we just want to hear how you feel about it. Because you've said alternate career, the author thing, that could be sick. And we know you have a channel called No Backup Plan, but we'd like to propose a couple of backup plans.
Fair enough.
I would like to propose high school counselor, but you tell every
No
single student, don't go to college.
Okay, so these are like inside jokes about my channel.
Dude, I don't know if my next suggestion is an inside joke, but you live in Paris. What's everyone's favorite Paris-based movie that has to do with Paris? 121 Dalmatians. I say turn your Paris apartment into a frick chamber for Dalmatians and be a dog breed.
Oh my god. Guys, where are these ideas coming from?
Okay, we got two more options, and then we'll let you choose.
So I have to pick from the four.
You have to choose
Okay.
your actual backup plan. So far, we got dog breeder, we got high school counselor. I'm proposing museum tour guide. I think it could be a little dangerous for whichever museum gets you as the tour guide, because they're going to start getting hundreds of thousands of people coming to the museum. It won't be enjoyable for the people anymore because it'll be too packed because everyone wants to attend Nathaniel's tour. But
yeah, right.
I think it's a good option.
And then
Or-
I had to come up with one more, and I was kind of spacing out, so I just wrote croissant.
Oh my. When did you guys do this? Like 3 minutes before we started this?
No.
I think museum tour guide for sure. I think I'd have a panic attack dealing with that many dogs. Even just having one dog is like a lot of work.
Dude, I was imagining your 6-story staircase with like 30 dogs just
yeah.
running down.
Yeah, no, that's wild.
We only have 3% left on battery, dude.
Uh-oh, shoot.
How much do you have left? 2%.
Wow, good check. Well, guess what? I'm still full battery because I plugged my camera
Man,
in.
we got a
Hey.
genius over
I came
here.
prepared. Let's go. The second we go for another 3 hours and it's just my camera, and it's just black. You scribble. You do like doodles of you guys.
We'll animate the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, we'll animate it. Well, then really quick, before our batteries run out, if I may.
Oh, we're ending it? We're finishing now?
I think we might have to, and I got to
enough.
ask you, if I may so have the honor to ask Nathaniel Drew, do you have any apologies now that we're at the end of the podcast?
Oh my, I should have seen this coming and prepared for this. Damn. Apologies. Well, I got to apologize for sure to Dante for definitely like completely stealing. That's not even the right word. Completely watering down the characters in his stories. Other apologies. Apologies to Jimmy. You know, there was a little not hatred, but a little heat at the beginning of that part of that conversation. Then we all calmed down and we're like, you know what? We all exist thanks to Jimmy. So I think that's a second apology there. And how many apologies am I supposed to? Do you guys have apologies?
No, just as many as is in your heart.
This all comes from in here.
Okay, let's see. Here.
Till you feel at peace with yourself.
I definitely have at least one more apology in me.
Rule of thirds.
Let's see here. I'm gonna apologize. I'm gonna apologize to all of the people I've let down over the trajectory of my YouTube career. All the people who felt I was real and authentic in the beginning, and I fell off. You know, like that's
all 2 or 3 of them.
Sure.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm sure they appreciate the apology, but nuts with them.
Yeah.
That's what my grandpa always says. He goes nuts with them.
Nuts with them.
Nuts with them?
Yeah.
Is there a fuller version of this expression that would make more sense? Or?
No, God, no. No, it's just nuts with them.
Just a great grandpa
Nuts with them.
phrase. I think I'm gonna have to extend my deepest apology to Nathaniel Drew for cracking jokes about Matt Diavella beating the shit out of him in a boxing ring.
Bro, I think you felt bad when I said that. Like, you were like, damn, maybe I did come on a little strong.
It's funny because I wrote that down, like the joke questions from other YouTubers, and then we started talking about Matt Diavella before I got to that one, and I was like, oh no. But I hadn't written down him beating you up in a boxing ring. I just wrote, Matt Diavella asked, what's your...
Oh, so you were going to just ad-lib that question in the moment. Like,
I was just going to ask you, Matt Diavella wanted to know what you would do if you weren't making videos. But since we were talking about boxing him, I was like, well, I got to throw him in the boxing ring question.
Yeah, I gotcha.
All that to say, I'm so sorry.
Look, I'm just a tiny Virgil.
Dude, that's a good apology.
This is so nonsensical.
Sorry I repeatedly compared you to Virgil the whole podcast.
Oh my God. I love that this part of the podcast is so beta. We're just apologizing for everything we've said. You know what? I apologize for being here.
Dude, it admonishes you.
Yeah.
It admonishes you from
great.
everything you said.
I'm so sorry for everyone that like actually had good questions for Nathaniel that would have loved to answer a Q&A post, and instead we just made stupid questions from Jake Paul and Tom Scott. But sorry, everyone.
I'm sorry I guessed before you even got the chance to make that joke about the question.
That was beautiful. That was very insightful of you.
That was insightful. You definitely are a consistent listener to have that much insight.
Yeah, I'm wondering if like I'm listening to too many of these podcasts. I'm addicted now though, so that's the problem. I'm hooked.
One is too many.
I will say, you asked a question a while back. It was the choice between being dropped on the bottom of the ocean or in the middle of the Alaskan wilderness.
Ooh.
Someone answered the bottom of the ocean. I was like, are you fucking nuts? That is the most terrifying. You wouldn't be able to see anything. Do you know the monsters that are down there?
Gills,
I'll go in the wilderness any day of the week.
No, I think you answered ocean because you had gills. And you're the one that's terrified of Canada. So but you answered ocean because you're like, I could eat the fish. I got gills.
Maybe I was the ocean guy.
I don't remember.
The ocean one is infinitely more terrifying. Like, that was clearly not a real answer because there's no way.
Dude, I'm like legitimately scared of northern Canada. The idea of northern Canada terrifies me.
Dude, have you seen some of the monsters at the bottom of the ocean? They're wild. Like,
yeah, that's true.
But
they can be harnessed. They can be harnessed.
Yeah. That was one of our answers. Maybe that you would just make friends with them or something. No, we started talking about orcas, and you said you were going to build a gang with the orcas.
I don't remember.
That's right. I do remember that. Yeah. But that's because I'm too good of a listener to this podcast.
Oh yeah.
I know
so you go North Canada wilderness then.
I mean, I'd die for sure. I'm not coming out alive from any of these situations. But that one, for at least I can see, and at least if I get attacked by a bear. Oh, camera died.
No, he just bailed. Jake just almost knocked my camera over, dude. Holy fuck.
Oh, God. Well, now Shaver's camera angle's way different now because I knocked it.
Oh, that's okay.
It's okay. You can just do like one of those amazing like flash filmic transitions that he does.
Yeah, well, that's film grains.
Yeah, totally. One of those warp transitions.
Yeah.
Man, well, I think my final apology is I'm sorry for screwing up Schaefer's camera angle for the final scene, for the big finale.
Yep. Yeah.
Man.
Who do you think are your listeners?
You, my mom, Schaefer's mom, and
our friend Jake Raber, who paints houses out here in Gunnison.
There it is.
Oh, and Alec. Our other friend. Just people we know, pretty much.
Really? Okay. Gotcha.
Oh, this has been a lifelong dream of mine, actually.
Oh, okay.
Do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you want to promote?
That's been a dream of yours?
I just feel like that's what big podcasts always do. You know, they have a guest, and then at the end, they're like, anything you want to promote? Anything you want to shout out to our massive audience?
I mean, if I'm going to plug something right now, the thing I'm so excited about is No Backup Plan. Like, I don't know. Part of listening to this podcast has really helped a lot for my ideas around this, but I have like so much. it's been years actually since I've had this much clarity on what I want to make and do. And for some reason, you guys just talking about what's going on YouTube has helped me get perspective on macro, what's going on, and I don't know, like, I don't know. I honestly, it's more like a thank you to you guys for just philosophizing on what's going on YouTube. It's like it's so cool that there are other people trying to do stuff that's similar to me, like in this corner of YouTube. I love it. So,
man,
dang, well,
that's
that was
so
the
cool.
sickest thing. Yeah, thanks for saying so.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I for sure want to just say like a genuine thanks for being on our show, and like thanks for, I don't know, just thanks for taking the time to do this. Like, it really means a lot that you have listened to any of our episodes, that you're down to take all of this time to chat with us. Like, regardless of all of the jokes and jabs, like, dude, we respect you a ton. We appreciate having you on the podcast a ton. It's a blast.
It's officially Love Fest time.
Yeah, you can do Love Fest at the end. It's allowed at the end.
Yeah, past apologies. Let me just say, you're always welcome on the old pod anytime you want. You're more than welcome to hop on. I'm sure.
Maybe the next time we do this, it's all in person together.
Oh, that would be sick. That would be really cool.
That would
I
be
just
amazing.
invited myself back on the podcast. I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, dude, I think our audience is definitely going to be refreshed by a little bit of grounding.
little intelligence in the podcast. Yeah. Well, do we test if he's a true listener and he knows how to end the podcast?
Oh, yes.
On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1.
Amen.
I say, if you don't like this music, you don't be listening to it, I'm just a dude that or something similar. If you don't keep it real, then you go somewhere but here, cause we're only losing control just for a minute. Oh.